guys, so today we're going to talk about Indian healthcare service provider industry, which is your hospital industry, and why I am extremely bullish on the sector. And you should also look into the sector. This is a really easy sector that is growing at 10 to 12%, but the hospital industry comprises of your government players, your local private hospital, and third is your big organized hospital chains who sit on the top of the value chain, right? So why there is so much demand for your which organized big players like your Apollo Hospital, your Max Hospital, your Tharth Hospital. So they have multiple hospitals under their name. So they are big hospital chains in our nations, which which is growing at a much faster pace than 10 to 12% CAGR, right? So this is due to the explosion of non-communicable diseases. You see, in India, lifestyle lifestyle is getting affected by a lot of things like kachra khana, kachra nokri, kachra lifestyle, daru pina, party culture. Due to all of these, India is seeing the explosion in non-communicable diseases like your diabetes, your your heart issues like blood pressure, and these are chronic in nature. So I'll give you some data. Like in India, 1 out of 6 Indian is pre-diabetic. Your 63% of all domestic death happens due to non-communicable diseases. Over 10 crore people are diabetic and have heart issues. I mean, think about the number of people. The number of people suffering from these diseases are huge, right? So the demand for quality healthcare is immense, and India lacks in hospitals or hospital beds, right? There is simply not enough capacity. So government realized this, and that is why government is also pushing health insurance for the needed through Ayushman Bharat, and a lot of people are choosing private health insurance so that they can afford quality health care, which was previously unaffordable for a lot of people, but due to penetration of the insurance sector, now a lot of people have been able to get get quality health checkup, but there's still not enough capacity. Like, here's some data. India has 16 operational hospital beds per 10,000 people, which is really low because the world average is 33. And China, which had a similar situation in 2000s, have now 57 beds per 10,000 people. I mean, we cannot compete with China, or nor we can achieve that sort of level. But the runway for growth is huge, right? So this is where your private hospital chain comes in to absorb that demand, right? Because you see, your government hospitals and your local private hospitals cannot scale at the speed that these players are moving, because you see, they're opening beds at a really fast pace through merger and acquisition, right? They're not building. I mean, the entire organized private hospital chain industry, right, which is a subsector to this hospital industry, right? So they're opening beds at a really fast pace through merger and acquisition. So what is this? How does this work, right? So if they want to build a new hospital from start, they have to go and acquire a land, get lots of permissions, which would take a lot of time, right? And to build and make it operational, it will take 5 to 6 years minimum. So what they are doing is, through merger and acquisition, they're buying distressed property or under construction hospitals. So what they're doing is um, they're acquiring these types of hospital, and 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 spending a lot of money on it, and they're putting world class doctors, top doctors in the industry, top machines and equipments, and makes it world class, right? So so they're and they're focusing on specialty care, right? They're focusing on your special procedures like your tertiary care and quaternary care, like your complex operations and treatment, which are really expensive, right? But they are really high margin products, right? So so they are opening beds. So that is your volume growth, right? And they're focusing on specialty treatment. That is your value growth, right? They're not just opening beds. They are increasing the potential that they can earn through each beds, right? They're also focusing on medical value travel. So you see, medical value, right? You can thus the patient the foreign patient who can get the same treatment in their country, right? India is 60 to 90% cheaper, and India does not lack in quality. It is the same quality they are getting in the Western country because you see there are NABH and JCI standard. NABH is India's top domestic top standard is NABH. JCI is your international top standard. So these private hospital chains, they are getting this accreditation, so there is no trust issue. They're solving the trust issue here, and they're providing the same treatment here in India, 60 to 90% cheaper. So they're providing a lot of value to these foreign patients, right? So India is third on medical value travel, like third. I mean, a lot of people abroad are choosing India for their complex tertiary or quaternary treatment. So for these hospitals, this is high margin product. This is really high margin. So they're already focusing on tertiary and quaternary treatment. And when a foreigner comes in to have that same treatment, the margin expands. And also through these, they're opening beds at a fast pace, but they're also controlling cost also. How? By, like I said, they're buying distressed hospitals. So the cost, the initial capital required is small as compared to when you want to build a new hospital from the start, right? So they're saving a lot of money and then turning that to a world-class hospital in a short amount of time, and they're getting the revenue back also in really short amount of time, right? So the average time these hospitals are getting operational are 12 to 15 months, right? So that is really fast compared to 4, 5, 6 years, right? And these hospitals, what they are doing is they are opening hospitals on a cluster model. Like they are going to one pocket of the city and they are opening multiple hospitals in the same pocket, like 2, 3 hospitals. So what happens is their brand value is really visible in that particular pocket of the city, right? So what they do is they dominate that pocket and then go on to other pockets in the city and try to replicate the same thing, which is really cost efficient, and which is by this they can use their top doctors efficiently. If it's not a 6 months to 1 year thing, this is a decadal thing. Like for India to have 30 beds per 10,000 people, it would take more than 10 years. So the scope for demand is huge, the scope for growth is huge. So our job is to find really good hospitals and who are growing at the faster pace and gaining market share, right? So yeah, this is really easy to understand. This is it. If you understand this, you've understood the hospital sector. You just have to go out there and read the company's Concall and PPD and find out who is growing at the faster pace. The likes of Yatharth and Path Medi, they are growing north of 25 to 35%. This is why I'm bullish in private hospital chains.